Hello, everyone. Welcome to Across the Bifrost, the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode, we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. I am one of your co-hosts, Ryan Doze here, joining you for most every episode. I think, Eric, I've only missed one episode ever. That was when you and Faz took over that one. But it's just you and I tonight. Eric is here, and we're going to be reviewing Immortal Thor 24, the penultimate issue in the initial part of Al Ewing's run on Thor, and we're going to be reviewing the fourth issue of Doctor Strange of Asgard, where the plot thickens and Doctor Strange is still on the run from the authorities in Asgard. So, Eric, great week of comics. Like you already mentioned this in our pregame. Like we kind of got spoiled this week with a lot of big, like it felt like a big week for our characters.
Oh, absolutely. We have some super juicy issues to get into here, and we're missing Faz and Will and their colorful commentary along the way, but we are going to do our best to dive into these, to talk about some of our favorite bits, do a little bit of a review, and give you our thoughts on these really, really nice issues this week.
I will say I agree with Eric. Like we are missing Will and Faz tonight, and they're often unpredictable, zany commentary. And I think it's up to us to like to maybe embody their spirit tonight. But just for those of you that maybe haven't read Immortal Thor 24, especially, there will be spoilers aplenty on this one. Immortal Thor 24 was a pretty pivotal issue in the more recent history of Thor. We've been leading up to the kind of the banner on top of all the recent Immortal Thor issues. Even an immortal can die. This is the second part of that little like trio of issues. And this did have a big cliffhanger at the end, leading into the finale issue of Immortal Thor. So, Eric, should we start with maybe a little bit of a synopsis on this one, and then I can throw to you for maybe a few of your thoughts and highlights on this issue. Immortal Thor is written by Al Ewing. It is drawn by Jan Bazaldua, and we have the cast that we've gotten to know in the last probably 10, 12 issues of Immortal Thor landing the plane on this one. I do love, Eric, maybe just quickly we'll detour over here. I do love that we've gotten to know this creative team over the last dozen or so issues, because it's been Al, Jan, Matt Hollingsworth, our boy Joe Sabino, the lettering god, always there, putting words on the page, and then Will Moss, obviously editing Thor. I love that we've gotten the same creative crew landing this plane, because we didn't get that at the end of Donny Cates and Nick Klein's run. So it kind of feels nice to have that continuity throughout. What do you have any thoughts on this creative team getting to land the plane?
Yeah, I think continuity is actually a good word for it, because it feels like there's nothing interrupting their telling, and it feels very satisfying knowing that we're sort of getting to see the vision that they have for it and having it play out in the way that they want, and knowing that there's no hiccups there. I mean, at least from our point of view, there's no hiccups. There's nothing that's stopping them from rolling this out exactly as they intended, which is, I got to say, has been very nice to see. We don't always know where it's going, and that's kind of the fun of it. But we've been getting just, I think Will pointed this out a little while ago, just A-list talent on this, just issue after issue after issue for the past year. We've been seeing no complaints. It's like the artwork's amazing. The writing makes sense. The plot keeps you guessing, but it still feels like it's following an arc enough that it makes sense. It's just been really, really enjoyable. And I'm kind of sad to see this little sort of like first act, as it's been called, coming to a close, because it's been so enjoyable. So we don't really know exactly the details of what comes next, but that doesn't take away from the satisfaction, I think, from this first half of it sort of concluding.
I think there's a few things there I just want to piggyback off real quick. I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I think once Jan found I think after the first issue or two, which those issues were not, slouches by any stretch. I think once Jan got really familiar with the world of Asgard and Thor's aesthetic, I mean, man, it sang from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Hollingsworth colors are beautiful and vibrant. And there is that, like, I love the consistency of Joe and Will being on this book forever. Yeah. It feels like they're going to be buried with this book. One thing I think I've finally landed on this, how I want to say this, and maybe I'll even change what I'm saying now later on. But to me, it seems like Al Ewing is writing a Norse Viking saga within a Marvel comic. That is the vibe of it. That is the narration style. That is, we get a little clip of a saga in the beginning of most issues. This is told in a very grandiose, very winding way, kind of like an old medieval era tale would be told. And I really have enjoyed that, because when I sit down to read a Thor comic, I don't want it to feel like any other book on the stand. Just, I would say the same thing about, Wolverine, about Spider-Man, about Captain America. Like, I want it to feel like the character. I want it to feel that it has the vibe of the character it's embodying. And I think Al is absolutely killing it with that. And we're going to land the plane in just one issue, but we have to deal with issue 24, the penultimate. This issue, again, spoilers aplenty. This issue is called The Death of the Immortal Thor. And this issue starts with a slight recap of last issue, where we saw Thor defeat Kemmer, the god of kings. And at the beginning of this issue, we see Loki reemerge. Loki explains the arrow that they have, the piece of Eternity's mask. Is that correct, Eric?
Yeah.
And so this is the arrow that at one point in here, and I need to find the line, because Loki gives an ominous little line here. I am.
Is it follow the arrow?
Yes, that way. Follow the arrow, and Thor gets Tormod back from Kemmer's nose, because he turned it into a ring that you would put.
He can do whatever he wants. He has all power. It can be a belt. It can be a nose ring. It's all
Who cares?
good.
Yeah. And Loki says, the Eternity mask, a piece of eternity itself, crafted into the bane of all kings. And that's in bold, by the way. So the bane of all kings is in bold. That's how it slew King Kemmer to begin with. Keep up, Thor. And Thor wonders, aye, that answers for the great bull, but not the city he ruled. 'Tis as it was when Loki rebuilt the Rainbow Bridge. They block my questions with a story, while the true answer lurks below, and surely a dark truth indeed. Thor, Scourge, Hermod, Heimdall, and Loki escape Nurgle, and they're on their way out when Utgard Loki kind of switches the script up again, and we get to the gates of the Utgard realm, and Utgard Loki is standing there before the gates, basically just saying, like, hey, like, we're in a different ball game now. You're not just going to run away. I do love that Utgard Loki says, though I could always, this is by story magic, they can return the same way. Though I could always cheat, I am the trickster, I am the trick. It is not in my nature to break rules. I could hold them here in a frozen moment that lasts as long as we say it does. But no, the story moves on. And if there are rules to this game with Gaia, then let there be rules. Let the oldest rule apply. Thor must pass his trial. So they're running out of the gate in a large panel. Jan does a fantastic job of the Utgard Loki character standing like a kaiju above the gates of the Utgard realm, and Thor have this standoff, this war of words, and we see Thor get ready for battle against what's his name, the Mechid, the hooded one, and his undying horde. Scourge gets sent off to the bridge, and we definitely need to talk about that, Eric. Scourge getting sent off to another bridge and guarding another bridge. Thor fights against the villains. As we cut away, Sif is running back to get the Warriors 4 to tell them, hey, we need to go save Thor. Hermod has raced back to let them know. Thor is fighting this unending battle against the Hooded One and his minions. And at one point, Thor brings down this giant thunderstorm, this lightning storm, and says, my servant is the terrible lightning that sears flesh to the bone. My servant is the storm, and just lights up Medjed, and pretty brutally pulls Hermod through its chest. That's a fantastic panel where I feel like Jan probably had a fun day at the office. We see a victorious moment, and here, honestly, Eric, this is where I was like, oh, there's no way he's making it out of this issue.
There's no happy ending here. When
Thor says, do you hear me? I live. Thor lives, in massive print. We see on the bridge, Scourge is standing off, but behind Scourge, we see Sif walking across the Black Bridge. And it says, Thor looked around him, yet all he saw stood in the distance upon the Black Bridge was loyal Scourge, raising the blood axe in celebration of Thor's victory. And beyond him, just now arriving at the very furthest end of the bridge, just barely in his sight, was she who was his love in song and in story. This is where Faz starts doing fist pumps.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
In that moment, Thor knew many things and knew them with perfect crystal clarity. He knew that he had been a fool, but foolishness was over. He knew of his true love. He knew that his true love had always been. He knew the time ahead with her would be boundless in the fields of childhood on the very last day of autumn. He knew that everything would be all right now. And then he died. And on the last page, we see Loki stabbing the arrow of eternity through Thor's chest from behind. His eyes are like a light with lightning. Mm-hmm. And then I can only imagine what Sif's face was like. But oh my gosh, Eric, where do you even want to start? Like, that was a crazy synopsis. I read some of my favorite parts there. Where do you want to start?
It was a wild ride. It was action-packed. It had exposition. It gave us clarity. We sprinted through this final trial, really, because we always knew there was Nurgle, Kemur, and Medjed. And so we got the entire Medjed fight out of the way in a single issue, and it still
like 6 pages.
Yeah. But what was so cool about that was, with Medjed, he was the god of mysteries, the god of the inexplicable.
Yeah.
And he meets his demise by Tormod, basically the wisdom and wit of Thor. And so it's the wisdom is canceling out the mystery, and not just canceling out. Medjed turns inside out, his guts go flying. It was brutal. This was the most graphic killing in a Thor comic that I've seen in probably decades. I mean, this was wild. We got intestines and stuff. So Tormod, Thor's knowledge obliterated the god of mysteries and the inexplicable. So that was, and it's so poetic. It's so poetic. It's so great.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, some of the other things we got some clarity around. The Nurgleites are called the Dwellers because
the city
they
dwellers.
dwell
Yeah.
in the city, because what is a city without its dwellers? And so
Right,
it's almost like
right.
that's a component that it gives Nurgle the power. We know that Kemur was a god of kings that needed a domain to realm over, or to rule over, and that was why Nurgle and Kemur were so sort of symbiotic. But Nurgle is getting trashed by the fact that at the end it has no king and it has no citizens anymore, so it's losing a lot of its power that way.
Yeah. There was, I think, in these, this was kind of like you said, a race to the end. There was a lot packed in this issue, and it kind of felt like the I always have the weirdest references. It kind of felt like the temple scene in Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, when the boulder is rolling after Indy.
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh my gosh, like this is happening, and this is happening, this is happening, and I think the moment I told you guys in our group chat, the second that Thor, as they're heading towards the gate of the Utgard realm, Thor says something very offhanded like, "Oh, Loki has vanished. I'll figure that out later. We got to run."
yeah.
The second that happens, I was like, well, fantastic. That's how Thor's going to die. Loki is going to kill Thor.
He's going to reappear with the Eternity Mask in the form of an arrow. And I did a little bit of background research on the Eternity Mask. Now that we know, first of all, I did call that Al Ewing would give us more information about what the hell weapon that was. The very first part of the next issue. So I'm glad that he did. But we know Al Ewing never forgets, especially in stories that he wrote back in 2020, in 2019 and 2021. So from Defenders #1, 2021, there's a whole full page panel where Doctor Strange is talking about the Eternity Mask. It's a piece of Eternity's own substance, woven by rebel occultists in Camelot, made to overthrow kings. So that's where that connection is, that this weapon is especially meant to overthrow kings. He says that it helped win the American Revolution and stayed here worn by numerous heroes, including the original Masked Raider. So the Eternity Mask, what it really does is it gives you the power of anyone that you're up against, and it basically levels the playing field.
Okay.
It doesn't cause you to win automatically, but it gives you an equal chance of winning. But then the outcome still is up to you. So that's how the mask has been used in Marvel comics in the past. But we see then in Defenders Beyond 2022, issue #4, we see America Chavez take the mask off and toss it to Loki. Loki takes it and literally fashions it into a part of their missing horn. And that's where we leave the Eternity Mask on Loki's crown as one of the missing horns. And I believe in the last Immortal Thor issue, that's where Loki got the arrow from. We saw them break off the horn.
Yes,
and
that
turn
did happen.
into the arrow. So this is all part of Al Ewing's plan. He knew that he left this MacGuffin there for whenever he wanted to use it again later, and he pulled it out. So
I love that Al Ewing's whole thing is just like, hey, that little bit of continuity that didn't like line up just right, I'm going to make a 5-issue miniseries out of it.
He is a golden retriever burying bones for later, and he's like, this little MacGuffin, I'm just gonna put that right there, and whenever I feel like digging that back up, I can just go get it and use it in a story.
Beautiful genius. What is? I believe Faz once said that he's a mythical, mysterious man.
Yeah.
Just seems like an absolute sweetheart. Hopefully someday we'll get to chat with Mr. Ewing about his Thor run. That would be freaking sweet.
That'd be awesome.
But Eric, anything else about, like, I know, like, we kind of buried the lead here. Like, Thor dies in this issue, and even an immortal can die in issue 24. We still have one more issue left. Is there anything that we have not said about issue 24 that needs to be said before we speculate about issue 25?
Well, I mean, we did get a pretty quick ramp up in the romantic interest for Thor. We know, I think the kiss really helped plant the seed for this might be coming, because if we didn't have that Sif kiss with Thor before he crosses the bridge and goes through the gate, it would have felt a little rushed. But we know also, Faz and I can tell you, because we're on our way to reading every Thor issue. So we're about 200 issues in. We know the history of Thor and Sif, and there is no shortage of buildup if you look at the larger continuity. But it is really cool to see it, and it also just kind of heightens that sense of loss of like, finally we know who the love is, and he's dead.
Yeah, and I mean, that is on the second to last page that we get that ramp up where Thor's like, "Oh, my eyes have been opened." It's Loki. It's Loki narrating to us that, oh, my eyes are finally opened. It was her all along. It's like when the librarian takes off her glasses and you realize, oh, you were hot the whole time. but yeah, then immediately dies, and I can only imagine what our guy Faz was thinking when he was reading this. And you know what? We're just gonna let you hear what he thought about this issue right now.
Hello, my friends. This is the shockingly mortal Faz coming at you from behind Thor 24. Guys, I am devastated. Al Ewing gave me exactly what I wanted and then cruelly took it away. That mythical, magical, mystical man knew exactly how to stab me in the heart with an eternity arrow, and here I am devastated. But what a fucking issue. This man does not stop missing. Jan Bazaldua does not stop dominating. I loved it. I love the fact that he gave me Thor and Sif and gave me chills and dread knowing what was going to happen on the next page. And I love the twist. I'm glad that it was Loki. The only thing I'm going to take from this is that I was right and that Thor and Sif are endgame and I am the best and everybody else is wrong, and I will take no further questions. I love you all. Sorry I couldn't make it this week. Tell Ryan that he's on thin ice and he'll be on the goat boat soon. Tell Eric I love him. Tell Ryan I love him too. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
So there you have it, everybody. That is what the Faz Guardian thought about Immortal Thor 24. He loves Eric. I think he tolerates me. But as we go into Immortal 25, I do want to tell you guys what the little synopsis for 25 is, and then we'll speculate a little bit, Eric. I mean, there's no shortage of things that could happen between now and Immortal Thor 25 and Thor #1 coming in August. But the end of the issue says, the story ends. At the end of his tale, Thor strode into Vidblain, third land of the dead, whence nothing could return. And there, beyond all battles, beyond all cares, he stood and fought for justice one last time against the great serpent who wore his own face and held his own hammer. This was the story of the Immortal Thor and the deciding of his fate. What does that mean?
I think I know what it means. In there. I am really glad that, I mean, this sounds weird. I'm really glad that Thor died in the second to last issue of this arc, because then we can sort of see what happens next, and we're not just like a complete, fade to black and pick up with something totally different. I think that what I would like to see is a little bit of, since I don't think we're going to get very much B and C storylines with the Thor #1 refresh in August, I would like to see a little bit of wrap up with maybe some reactions to Thor's death by the supporting cast. But then I think we've seen when Thor was turned into stone and smashed, he temporarily went to Vidblain and saw that Donald Blake is there, and Donald Blake has absorbed some essence of the world serpent. He also has absorbed some symbiote, and he is a sort of a new entity to be reckoned with. And presumably there's going to be a battle there in these different aspects of Thor, his formerly human half that is now also kind of like a symbiote world serpent half, and Thor's own soul. And the outcome of that battle might give us clues about what we're leading into Thor #1 with.
I'm glad you reminded us of Donald Blake, because I had kind of forgot. I was like, oh, the Great Serpent. Are we going to fight the Midgard Serpent? Are we going to fight? Oh gosh, what's Odin's brother's name? Oh gosh, Cole Borson. Is one of his monikers is the Great Serpent. Donald Blake makes infinitely more sense, especially because much like Al Ewing, Eric does not forget a little bit of detail there. I do love the deciding of his fate, where it feels like Immortal 25 is going to leave us on a teeny bit of a cliffhanger, because we don't know what's going to happen in Thor #1 coming at the end of August. We do have on this cover, I just want to remind people, on the cover of Immortal Thor 25, we have Thor's face in this starry background, but in the foreground, we have Angela, Balder, Beta Ray Bill, Loki, Uller, Sif, Jane Foster, and Tyr. That's a lot of characters. And I feel like, Eric, a lot of specific characters.
Yeah. Well, and that's hopefully, again, like I was like hoping for some of the B plots maybe tying up, because if they're not going to get a chance to in a refresh where there never was an Asgard, now's our chance to get some closure on their end as well.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of any other speculation, Eric, you want for 25. I think it's going to be a bonkers finale.
I think it's going to be Thor in a nightshirt versus Donald Blake in a nightshirt, and we're going to see who wins the pillow fight at the slumber party. So.
Who wins the pillow fight in hell? That's fantastic, everybody. We're very excited for Immortal Thor 25. I'm pretty excited for Thor #1 coming in, like I said, late August. But we are also going to review real briefly for you here Doctor Strange of Asgard #4. This is Derek Landy. We have Carlos Magno on art, and they're weaving this mysterious tale of Doctor Strange essentially covering up a murder in Asgard as he is trying to gain access to Asgardian magic. At the end of last issue, #3, Strange had gone on this quest to find a dark troll skull and had come back to his house trying, he's like, oh, I've got all the pieces for this spell I'm going to cast to get access to Asgardian magic. And wouldn't you know, Thor and Sif are in his freaking living room. And it was like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. Someone's come along and burst our bubble. So at the beginning of this issue, Thor and Sif are there like, okay, Strange, like, what's happening, buddy? And they said, hey, we kind of know that you buried a body underneath the World Tree. So it's like, yep, can't really hide from that. So Stephen's like, yep, I'm just going to run. And one of my favorite parts of this issue, Eric, was actually the fact that Sif's eyes followed Strange.
Yes.
As he was jumping. It actually felt like, oh my gosh, we actually got to see Sif be all-seeing for a minute.
We've been saying that we want more of that. The floating eyes in the sky. We wanted more of that from Donald Duck Thor.
But we then see Strange get back with Aslak, and they go back to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and they have a discussion with Loki about what is the true nature of what happened that night that Hulda died. And they determined that it was a memory that was implanted into Loki's mind. And Stephen was actually really the only true fragment of that scene. And Clea is also like off panel. Clea is fighting like these monsters, something like that. And Loki goes to then help her fight that battle. Strange goes back to Asgard, and he's kind of wanted right now by the Thunder Guards. He goes and tries to do the spell of Acrinon. It's the spell that's going to give him the access. And as he is completing this spell, I believe is it Rovka jumps in the window. Roskva. Yeah, she jumps in the window, and our last panel is her about to swing down an axe on an eyes closed Stephen Strange. Eric, did I miss anything in that synopsis? I feel like this issue had a lot to break down in terms of our mystery. We finally got some clues.
Yes, yes. There was a lot going on here, but I've got one way to sum it up.
Yeah.
And let me know what you think of this. Minority Report.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So in Minority Report, the Tom Cruise movie, there's a murder that is covered up by an implanted fake memory or a fake precog, vision of this thing where the water is flowing the wrong way. That's exactly what's happening here, because we're seeing basically a pre-recorded memory in Loki's mind where there's no fire in the fireplace and the light doesn't match where they're standing. And so that's evidence that this memory has been manufactured and implanted to cover up for the fact that he's teleported away and then back right before and after the murder takes place.
Dude, I can't believe I didn't see that. Derek Landy does Minority Report.
Yeah.
No, seriously, if you've seen the movie Minority Report, it makes perfect sense. It's definitely that kind of mystery where like the detail is important because it proves what's actually real and what's an illusion.
The clues are in the cover up. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're at the fourth installment of this. Do you know is this going for 4 or 5 issues? I can't remember how many issues this one's going for.
I want to say it's out of 5. I think we're getting close to the end here.
Yeah, it is out of 5 because there's a Doctor Strange 450, like a big like celebration issue, in a giant one shot coming in September. So we have one more issue of Doctor Strange of Asgard.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Like, is this? I feel like we have a lot of loose ends that still need to be tied up.
We don't have a lot of progress so far, but here's the thing. So this miniseries has been incredible. It's written. It sounds weird to say, but it's written with the comedic timing of like a sitcom. Some of these jokes remind me of like The Office. We have the acts of exquisite decapitation. We have.
Loki, why did you need it? Well, I needed to perform an exquisite decapitation.
Yeah. We have the bartender asking Holt why he's, we have Holt being asked why he's so gregarious all the time. And he basically has this introspective moment where he's like, well, I guess I use jocularity as a mask to cover my, and it's like this character being deep and introspective. It's wild. So the fact that they can mix so much comedy and mystery in here, it feels like a Sherlock Holmes story mixed with like a buddy cop, like caper. It's just delightful.
Yeah. It really is. I think Derek Landy writes these characters. He writes Asgardians as if they're human. Like he writes them with a very human touch, and I really enjoy that. Can't wait to see what happens in issue 5. Here's a little bit of the synopsis of solicitation of issue 5 at the end of issue 4. It says, Doctor Strange finally uncovers the truth behind Hulda's murder, but the true murderer may be closer than he thinks. A final confrontation leads to a magical showdown that will change the future of Asgard. Now, I just looked at the solicitation for Doctor Strange 450 that's coming in September, and here's the part of the solicitation that applies to our story is
do they give it away?
Not really, but there's kind of an intriguing little tidbit here. Stephen's quest to become the Sorcerer Supreme of Asgard is currently unfolding, a key development in the One World Under Doom event. In Doctor Strange 450, Derek Landy will continue to explore this fantastical new direction for Strange and reveals a glimpse at what comes next. As turmoil seizes Asgard, Doctor Strange's life is about to change forever. But as he stands on the threshold of a true journey into mystery, it turns out the past isn't quite done with him yet. Lots of little Thor tidbits there. Several mentions of Asgard, mention of journey into mystery. So I feel like we might have to do 450 to get the conclusion of our story.
Interesting. It looks like Doctor Strange 450 it has multiple writers.
Yeah, I think it's
Krasinski, Roger Stern, Derek Landy. So is it a reboot or is it a one shot? What is this?
It's a giant sized one shot for his Legacy 450.
Gotcha.
There's a Christian Ward drawn story I'm in. Christian Ward is one of my favorite artists. That he rarely does like full books for Marvel or DC anymore, but he does some zany artwork, and he's he would be like a modern day Steve Ditko for a Doctor Strange book. If Christian Ward were doing a Doctor Strange book, I would pick it up monthly, no questions. But anyway, that small little Tourette's moment aside, that's really intriguing though, that 450 is going to continue the story we've been telling in Doctor Strange of Asgard. So maybe by the end of issue 5, Eric, we don't even have a definitive conclusion.
I mean, I didn't even know this was happening. Like, I'm finding out about this 450 issue for the first time right now. I'm going to pick this up because I really am enjoying this Derek Landy stuff. And if they're going to kind of roll it into something else, I want to find out what's going on. I'm very intrigued as well. I'm just reading it for the first time as well. So lots of cool stuff coming for Doctor Strange in Thor's world. Eric, this was a good review. I feel like we got some good work in here. We were not nearly as crazy as we could have been without our fantastic worthy co-hosts, but they will be back very soon. We have some plans in the interim while we wait for Thor issue 25 and Godzilla versus Thor to drop on July 3rd. But we also have stuff because there's a big gap in between Thor 25 and the Thor 1 relaunch I think it's the last Wednesday of August. Let me double check that. Yeah, it's the last Wednesday of August. So August 28th. We have so many weeks. Dude. If only we had more Thor stuff to talk about, Eric. I guess we'll just have to take a summer break, I guess. That ain't freaking happening, everybody. I threw out to the guys like we could cover the swimsuit special that's making its glorious return this year. Yeah. Faz and the guys want to do a Fantastic Four review. That would be a lot of fun, and we're probably going to get a few editions of our next creator spotlight, which is going to be all about so get excited for that. Eric, is there anything else we need to tell listeners before they head out on the Rainbow Bridge and not the Black Bridge? We stay away from the Black Bridge. There's only bad news on the Black Bridge. Scourge has been told to protect it, so he's not going to let you pass if you go that way.
Yeah, Scourge and bridges. We didn't really talk about Scourge and his bad history with bridges. When Thor puts him, he's like, "Hey, guard the Black Bridge if I fall." It's like, Scourge and bridges usually don't mesh well. So, but before we head on the Rainbow Bridge, any last thing we need to tell listeners before we go, Eric?
Just that it's the summer of Thor. You heard it here first, folks. And yes, we've got more than enough Thor content to satisfy a weekly podcast. So stay tuned, hit subscribe, and follow along as we just dive deeper into this summer of great Thorness.
Great Thorness. That's going to take that and make a mint out of it. But one thing it kind of feels weird to forget an anniversary thing, but last week, as you're listening to this on the main feed, last week was Thor's 63rd birthday, everybody. 63 years ago, mighty Thor thundered into existence in Journey into Mystery 83. And in the past, we've reviewed that again, and we've recapped again. Honestly, we've talked about Journey into Mystery 83 so many times, and we just want to say, hey, happy belated birthday to the God of Thunder. 63 years, and just don't look a day over, I don't know, 1500. But yeah, everybody, like Eric said, if you want to follow, subscribe, do all that, on whatever podcast provider you're on, please do that. That would be fantastic. If you want more bonus content, we have pre-games and early episodes that you will get if you click the Patreon button. We've been getting a few more people on Patreon, like as citizens of Asgard for a few bucks a month, or free members. So happy to have new people there. And if you want to continue the conversation with us, Discord is really our best way to do that. We have a small, mighty band of Thor enthusiasts over on Discord, and we Eric, we talk about comics from time to time, but like the NBA finals are going on right now. That is taking up a lot of the Discord's energy. We talk about wrestling on there. We share memes with each other. We just kind of like have a good time on there. I'm just going to ask, Eric, what is your favorite part of the Discord?
It's the army of Ohioans that we've recruited that all come out in full force. Everybody on there apparently is from Ohio or has some connection to it.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't plan it that way, but yeah, hey, Ohioans always welcome. Definitely
not planned that way, but it was as if the Lady Sif saw it coming and just didn't tell us. But we love all the Ohioans that listen to this podcast. It is insane how many of them live in like the same part of Ohio too. We have a very strong contingent there. But yeah, join Discord. And if you want to just know what's going on with the podcast, check out Instagram. It's another link in the episode description there. But everybody, thank you for joining us for the breakdown of Immortal Thor 24 and Doctor Strange of Asgard number 4. And just remember, wherever you're at, whoever you're with, whether you are, I don't know, these were 2 downer issues, so I don't even know what to say here. Whether the loves of your life, are just coming to your mind, and the people that you should have been spending time with seem far off. Whether you're trying to solve, life's problems and they just seem to be getting harder and harder. There's like, how are we going to wrap this up? I don't know. We might need a giant sized one shot to wrap this up. Whatever is going on in your life and in your part of the 9 realms, we just hope that you do one thing, and that is stay worthy.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Bum, bum, bum,
bum, bum, bum, bum, bum. I thought you were gonna say whether you're using knowledge to turn Mystery's guts inside out.
Oh, that's so much better.